We are kicking off today with SmackDown as Tonga advanced this week in the King of the Ring tournament with a victory over LA Knight in the quarterfinals. Tonga had previously slivered his way into this match after defeating Angelo Dawkins last week, as Dawkins had replaced his Pride faction cohort in the match. As for Knight, he advanced to the quarterfinals with a live event win over Santos Escobar, setting up what was a highly expected match between two top SmackDown stars. As you'd expect, Tonga had assistance from the new Bloodline, though it is odd to see Knight, one of WWE's most popular stars, take yet another high-profile loss. Some fans have even said that Knight is essentially being buried right now in WWE, despite Triple H having spoken highly of Knight, putting in the grind to succeed in WWE. Knight lost in the Money in the Bank ladder match when he was a favorite to win, and lost again against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel 2023 during the arguable height of his popularity. While Knight does win on TV, this isn't the case when it's high-profile bouts, and do you think Knight is being buried right now? Let us know down in the comments. LA Knight is now out of the King of the Ring tournament, but it appears that he won't have to sit around and wait for another feud to come up. Before his match, Knight was being interviewed by Kathy Kelly before being interrupted by Carmelo Hayes, who asked Knight to welcome him to the Blue brand. Hayes described himself as the #1 pick in the draft, and after Knight's loss to Tonga, Hayes confronted him backstage about failing to get the job done. Things turned physical as Knight shoved Melo, and Charles Robinson had to stop things from escalating, and fans can expect to see these two feud going forward. But with that said, it's entirely possible Hayes will go over in what'll be his first feud on SmackDown, which will mean another loss for the popular megastar. More from the King of the Ring as Randy Orton beat AJ Styles last week to advance, while Carmelo Hayes bested Baron Corbin to earn his place in the quarterfinals. Hayes proved his worth against Cody Rhodes in his first night on the Blue brand, but had not faced anybody as vicious as Orton before this week, making their match the more intriguing. Before the bout began, there was a funny moment as Orton signed an autograph for a fan and put his fist out for a fist bump, only for the young fan to turn away. That fan was putting her autograph away, but the young fan next to her took the opportunity to bump Orton, who shrugged off the awkward moment. In the quarterfinals match, Hayes, a relative newcomer, paired nicely with one of WWE's most tenured performers, and Orton grew irate after a smack to the back of the head. The Legend Killer channeled this to assert his dominance over Hayes, and this was an entertaining performance that made Hayes look like a future star. Unfortunately for the former NXT champion, he took one too many chances and jumped into an RKO to give Orton the win, earning the Viper a spot in the semifinals. As Orton was about to be interviewed by Kathy Kelly post-match, he found himself confronted by the Bloodline and his opponent next week, Tonga. Orton, however, was not intimidated and vowed to introduce him to a hellacious beating and the three most destructive letters in sports entertainment, RKO. Now, it's no secret that Bianca Belair and Montez Ford are married, as the couple even have a show on Hulu, and recently it was suggested that their family was about to grow. On Instagram, Montez Ford changed his bio from father of 2 to father of 3, which led fans to assume that Belair is pregnant, though the EST hasn't said that she is yet. One person who is talking about this is Angelo Dawkins, who's been poking fun at the pregnancy rumors and even changed his Twitter bio to include father of 30 kids. Dawkins also made fun of the notion that Belair competed on this week's SmackDown despite supposedly being pregnant, and the former tag champion had plenty more to say. Neither Montez Ford nor Bianca Belair have reacted to the speculation about their family, but until they do, Angelo Dawkins will have plenty of fun about this alleged pregnancy. While not looking after hypothetical babies, Bianca Belair can be found competing in a WWE ring, and on SmackDown, she was part of the Queen of the Ring quarterfinals. The EST stepped in the ring with Tiffany Stratton, who has recently been a source of controversy, but she managed to keep her head in the game in this highly important showdown. Belair brought raw strength and power, which paired nicely with Stratton's athleticism, and at times, the pair seemed evenly matched in the ring. The closing moments of the match saw Stratton utilize an eye rake, but when she failed to connect with the prettiest moonsault ever, it gave Belair the opportunity to hit the KOD. With her win, Belair has advanced to the semifinals of the Queen of the Ring tournament, and what did you make of her victory over Stratton? Let us know down in the comments. Many fans were admittedly surprised to see Belair get the win over Stratton, especially given how strongly the ex-NXT Women's Champion has been pushed since her call-up. There are some who believe that Belair's victory came about thanks to the recent Stratton controversy, in which she shared a video of herself attacking Jade Cargill at a live event. In a voiceover that we should make clear wasn't Stratton's own voice, Cargill is called a black and Tiffany has since deleted the video that has spawned a major backlash among fans. WWE Backstage have refused to comment on her situation, which should come as no surprise given in mind their usual silence with controversial situations such as these. With that said, there have been reports that WWE are unhappy with her because of the controversy and believe it has taken the shine off her work in the minds of fans. Many fans have been forwarding copies of the video to Triple H, and in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it is said that someone less important would be fired immediately. Thankfully for Stratton, WWE has big plans for her moving forward, but those plans won't involve her winning the Queen of the Ring tournament. It's also been reported that Stratton was supposed to win against Belair, and judging by a graphic shown on this week's Raw, would have advanced all the way to the finals. The graphic showed Stratton as well as Raw's Lyra Valkyria in costumes covering their full bodies, which is what female superstars wear when competing in Saudi Arabia. It appears the change of plans is WWE's way of punishing Stratton for her social media video, and WWE has punished talent in the past with changes to their booking. The question now is whether this was a one-time punishment or if she'll be in the doghouse for some time, but Stratton's time in the Queen of the Ring has come to a controversial end. In the Queen of the Ring tournament, Nia Jax advanced to the semifinals after Jade Cargill got herself disqualified for using a chair during the match. At one point, Jax approached Cargill's daughter and told her that her mother sucks, which infuriated the women's tag team champion, and the two brawled near the announcer's table. This is where Jax attempted to hit Cargill with a chair but failed, and Cargill would hit Jax with the chair, giving the Irresistible Force the DQ win. Post-match, a brawl broke out and WWE officials rushed to separate the pair, and fans were not pleased with the outcome, given that Jade had been the favorite to win the tournament. Those dreams were shattered on SmackDown, and after the match, Jax shared a couple of social media stories reacting to her encounter with Jade's daughter. With Bianca Belair defeating Tiffany Stratton, the EST will face Jax next week in the semifinals, with the winner of that bout facing either Io Sky or Lyra Valkyria in Jeddah in the finals. Jax has been quite impressive since making her return in September last year, and would love to add the Queen of the Ring crown to her cabinet in Saudi Arabia on May 25th. Ever since the Cody Rhodes vs. Logan Paul match was announced for King and Queen of the Ring, there's been confusion regarding which titles held by each man will be on the line. Fans were wondering whether the WWE title and the US title will be on the line in Jeddah, and during last night's contract signing, they cleared this confusion, albeit with some controversy. Rhodes began by reflecting on the history of Jacksonville where the show was taking place and referenced the first War Games match happening in the city. Cody then branded Logan Paul a mere tourist in wrestling and alluded to becoming a Grand Slam champion. All he's missing is Paul's US title. Paul attended the contract signing with an entourage and a lawyer, and while it seemed both titles would be on the line, the lawyer drew up another contract for the match. This one stated explicitly that Paul's US title would not be on the line in Jeddah, and while Nick Aldis called out the unprofessional switch-up, Rhodes agreed to the contracted terms. That means that only the undisputed WWE title will be on the line in this match, which will have mixed reactions from fans, as many wanted to see both titles defended. With that said, many believe it was too early in Cody's reign to do a champion versus champion match, and this essentially confirms that the match will go the way of the American Nightmare. Things escalated when a brawl broke out that resulted in Cody standing tall with both titles, so while this match won't be for the US gold, Cody remains interested in the Grand Slam. The odds of Paul ending Cody's reign so soon is very unlikely, and do you think it's too early for the Maverick to get a shot at the American Nightmare? Sound off in the comments. During this brawl, one of Paul's lackeys tried to attack Rhodes, but Cody slammed him through a table to send a message to his upcoming opponent. The man who portrayed Paul's lackey was indie champion Poppy D, who in addition to wrestling, works as an actor, model, host, content creator, dancer, and personal trainer. Ironically, Poppy D is working towards a champion versus champion match of his own, as the Florida heavyweight champion is set to face Florida cruiserweight champion Raylan Bennett in June. This will be a title unification match for Orlando's I Believe in Wrestling promotion, and Poppy D certainly won't be forgetting his time on SmackDown or his run-in with Cody Rhodes. More from SmackDown now, as once again fans were presented with a QR code, this time during a match between DIY and Legado del Fantasma. Scanning the code took fans to a video filled with ominous symbols and an image of a young boy in Joker-like face paint. It's unclear who the boy in this photograph is, though some have suggested it is the late Bray Wyatt, though that can't be confirmed at this time. A voiceover looped saying, "He is nobody, he is all of us," before concluding with, "Do you want to meet him?" before transitioning to a similar scene to what fans saw during the Twitch video. The most important clue in this video, though, came right at the end as the number 4714 appeared, with fans believing this is actually a date. If so, it would be April 7th, 2014, the night after WrestleMania 30, which was also the night the first vignette for Bo Dallas was aired ahead of his main roster call-up. Dallas, as Uncle Howdy, is expected to be behind these cryptic videos, and it is believed that he will be returning with a faction including Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, and Nikki Cross. The mysteries didn't just occur during SmackDown, as before the show, creepy music filled the arena, as fans have experienced at past tapings in which a QR code has been featured. It remains to be seen when this mystery is definitively answered, but all signs point to Bo Dallas. And what do you make of this latest update? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, with notable names like Rhea Ripley and CM Punk sidelined due to injuries, WWE is being cautious about losing more talent, but it appears that it has happened in WWE NXT. Recently, Ivar of the Viking Raiders was involved in a brutal attack by Gallus, which has drawn significant attention, as he's now been reported to be out indefinitely. While initial reports suggested Ivar's injury might be part of storyline, Ivar has confirmed on social media that his injury is legitimate, but that he hasn't had surgery yet. He said, "There's been a lot of misinformation floating around about me. Let me clarify. Yes, I am injured. Yes, it is very serious. No, I have not had surgery. Still trying to figure out all options and what this means for my future." In response to Ivar's update, his tag team partner Erik shared a supportive message saying, "Love you, Ivar. Neither of us were ever supposed to make it this far. You'll beat this one too. And the Raid will return with a brand new bad. Viking strong." Erik, who has been out for some time after undergoing neck fusion surgery, clearly has a strong bond with his partner, and it remains to be seen how long Ivar will now be out for. With Erik out, Ivar has had quite the singles run on WWE TV and WWE NXT, and fans are eagerly awaiting his recovery and eventual return to the ring. When Cody Rhodes won the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match, all signs pointed to a rematch with Roman Reigns, until a bizarre segment on the following episode of SmackDown. That segment saw Rhodes say he would not be facing Reigns at WrestleMania, and he stepped aside to allow for The Rock to take his place, infuriating fans, and for good reason. During the Ringer Wrestling show, The Rock's writer Brian Gewirtz, who works as part of 7 Bucks Productions, discussed the segment and what the plan was supposed to be. Gewirtz noted that Cody Rhodes was supposed to be more enthusiastic about the forfeiture and was supposed to have a go-get-em Rock attitude, but that's not how things came across. Instead, Cody looked depressed, and Gewirtz compared Rhodes' reaction to how Julius Randle appears when the New York Knicks are winning, but he doesn't show much excitement. Gewirtz made clear that though he doesn't blame Cody for this reaction, as it reflects his authenticity as a human being, as he couldn't hide feeling disappointed at losing his spot. Regardless of how things went, all's well that ends well, as Rhodes closed WrestleMania as the undisputed WWE Champion, which is what fans wanted to see all along. The action didn't stop after this week's episode of SmackDown went off the air, as in a dark match main event, World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest put his gold on the line. Priest retained his title against Kofi Kingston, and this came after another dark match saw the Awesome Truth defeat the Judgment Day. It was clearly a mixed night for the Macabre faction, but with another title victory to his name, Priest will now be looking ahead to the match he promised Drew McIntyre. It's not been specified by WWE when this match will take place, but Priest will no doubt be looking to retain, just as he did after this week's episode of SmackDown. On this week's Dynamite, Kazuchika Okada defeated FTR's Dax Harwood to retain the AEW Continental Championship, and before the match, Renee Paquette offered a sideline report. Paquette reported on Dax's feelings going into the bout, and this was just the latest in a recent trend of Paquette giving updates either backstage or on stage before Continental title matches. During the premiere episode of Meal in a Match, Renee Paquette revealed that this presentation change was an idea from Eddie Kingston. She stated, "Eddie is the best ever, legit one of my faves to watch. Fun fact, the reason I get to do those sideline reports during Continental Championship matches is because of Eddie requesting it." While it was Kingston who requested these reports, Paquette won't be reporting on any of his matches for some time due to the injury he suffered at New Japan's Resurgence event. The injury occurred while Kingston was taking a suplex through a table bridged between the ring and a guardrail during his match against Gabe Kidd during their strong openweight title match. During the spot, Kingston's legs slammed into the rail as he crashed through the table, but despite the injury, he finished the match and was in a planned post-match angle with the Elite. PW Insider reports that after a series of x-rays in California, it's been disclosed that he suffered a tibular fracture to his leg, and he is awaiting information about the next medical steps. Kingston is hopeful that he'll be able to return by All In London this August, but this will depend on whether surgery is required to address this injury. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that this situation led to changes to plans for Dynamite, which saw Darby Allin return and take Kingston's spot at Double or Nothing. Now it'll be Allin, FTR, and Bryan Danielson who face the Elite in Anarchy in the Arena, and fans are eagerly awaiting for updates on Kingston's recovery and sending their best to the Mad King. AEW also saw Christopher Daniels be fired from the promotion after he and Matt Sydal lost to the Young Bucks in a World Tag Team Title Eliminator match. The Bucks fired Daniels from his role in-ring and backstage in an effort to cleanse AEW, and now Daniels' profile has been removed from AEW's official roster website. With the Elite abusing their power, it seems nobody is safe from the group, and while Daniels' firing is mostly kayfabe, he may not be the last to get their 30-day severance package. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller sat with SmackDown's commentary to watch Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa take on Angel and Berto in a match without much story behind it. With the champions at ringside, it seemed WWE wanted to set up the winners as the number one contenders, and Santos Escobar and Elektra Lopez were ejected by the referee. This came after the pair tried to interfere, but by the time the pair were halfway up the ramp, the match was over and DIY had gotten the win. This was decent, but nothing to write home about. DIY are a great team, but need more chances to have longer matches to remind everyone how good they are. And that was this week's SmackDown. And what did you make of the show? Let us know down in the comments. Since coming to the main roster in 2022, Gunther has dominated over WWE, as his record Intercontinental title reign shows, but for some time, it seemed a call-up would never happen. For years, Gunther was part of NXT UK, where he also had a record-long reign as that brand's top champion, but why did it take so long for him to make the move to the main roster? Speaking with the Daily Mail, Gunther blamed Vince McMahon for the delay, as he had no intention to work with the main roster with McMahon's vision over him. He said, "I think one of the reasons why I didn't want to go to the US for a long time was because Raw and SmackDown under Vince's vision at that time was something that was never appealing to me as a wrestler. It was just not what I was interested in. I'm a throwback, and I like to have my time for my matches, and I like to have to focus on what I do in the ring and not the bells and whistles around it. And that experience back then, at Survivor Series 2019, was almost a confirmation of that." With McMahon gone, Gunther has flourished on the main roster, but said in the interview that he's not given up hope for a match with one of McMahon's go-to guys, Brock Lesnar. As for his immediate future, Gunther will be in a King of the Ring semifinals match on Raw against Jey Uso, and expectations remain high for the Austrian, with McMahon not around. Now, Jon Moxley is a top name in AEW and is also the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, but this week, the BCC member made a surprise appearance at an independent event. Moxley took fans by surprise when he appeared for PW Revolver and planted JT Dunn with a paradigm shift, showing that you never know for sure where Jon Moxley will appear next. At Double or Nothing, Willow Nightingale will defend her TBS title against Mercedes Moné, but days earlier, she'll defend the gold against Tam Nakano at Stardom Flashing Champions. According to Brian Alvarez, Stardom had plans to extend this feud and have the match happen later, but Tony Khan insisted that it had to happen very soon. Time will tell whether Willow or Nakano walk into Double or Nothing as champion, but AEW wanted as little confusion over their TBS title as possible, hence the suddenness of this match. In AEW's recent wave of releases, Anthony Henry was among those cut, but Tony Khan made clear that he'd rehire Henry once he's healed from a jaw injury he suffered at an indie show. At the most recent ROH tapings, Henry was indeed back as the Workhorsemen beat Serpentico and Angelico, as Khan is proving to be a man of his word. And we're ending with Gable Steveson, and when he was released from WWE, speculation sprouted as to what was next for the Olympian, and now Steveson could be heading to the NFL. On May 15th, Stevenson had a meeting and a tryout with the Buffalo Bills, and he's expected to meet with several NFL teams despite having little background in football. Stevenson didn't even play the game at a high school level, and while Brock Lesnar was sought after by the NFL after ending his WWE run in 2004, it remains to be seen what's next for Stevenson.